Hey folks, welcome back to Only the Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about Malarkoi by Alex Pheby. This is the second book in the Cities of the Weft trilogy, the sequel to Mordew, and this is a very oddball, very different story compared to the first one that we got. I'm generally not sure what to make of this book. The more I think about it, it's just crazy. Let me kind of get into what I mean by that. So, so what is this book in a nutshell about? Well, the best I can give you is just a few lines that kind of encompass the sequence of events that we see. As we talk about the book, you'll understand why that's not quite enough. But anyway, um, basically, the main character from the first book, Nathan, he was um, he was used and killed by the master of Mordew, and his remains used to create a very powerful magical artifact that very much plays a role in this book. His allies flee to Malarkoi, one of the other cities, hoping to escape the reach of the master following this. Instead, they find themselves embroiled in a desperate struggle with the mistress of Malarkoi. Meanwhile, Nathan's most faithful servant sets out on a path that will see him undergo a ridiculously weird yet incredible transformation. So that's kind of my takeaway from this book in a nutshell. Let's get into why it's not quite enough. Because the fact of the matter is, I have no idea what the hell I just read. Like, seriously, this book is very different from the first in the series. And I genuinely have no idea if I like it or not. Or if it's just one of those books that's going to make me scratch my head for a long time to come before, until I finally mature or read enough to really form a definitive opinion. It's one of those kinds of books. Like, I can very definitively say there's bits and pieces in here that I really loved. Other parts, jury's out. Let's just say, like, this book feels like going on a drug trip, except the drugs that you took didn't expand your mind to for it to be able to comprehend and wrap itself fully around what you experience. So it just, yeah, take with that what you will. So, but nevertheless, I will try to talk about some of the aspects of this book that I want to talk about it anyway. So first things first, and this is both a pro and a con of the book. We get a very deep, very technical dive into the way that this world works, how it ticks, and all of that, and it completely just blows the book up. Like, it's trippy, it's bizarre, it's unusual. Sometimes it was perfect, at other times it was just plain too much. There's points in here where it reads almost like a textbook or like a Wikipedia entry. Like, it was just that level of information. The thing is, it all has an impact on the story. Like, the one of the more fun characters in this entire book to read about, he wouldn't be who he is if it wasn't for this the explanation of the way that the physics of this world works to give us context to how he becomes what he is the only way I could put it. Like, some a lot of the things that happen in here would be completely inexplicable if Maybe hadn't taken the time to get into the nitty gritty of it. Did we need to understand it to this level? Maybe, maybe not. But it allowed Maybe to have quite a bit of fun with us, because one of the things that I really like about his writing is that he has a way of sneaking in some fun with whatever he's doing. Like, he can get very meta, he can get very cheeky on the nose, whatever you want to call it. Almost breaking the fourth wall in some of the ways that he decides to portray his things, or the way that he'll phrase certain things. And, like, there are multiple instances where we get into this whole magical stuff that he'll kind of in addition to doing it, he'll poke fun at himself for doing it and that kind of thing. Like, it's just and this is just one of the elements that is the reason why I say this book is as weird and crazy as I think it is. that all that being said, I do feel like quite a bit of it could have probably been cut from the book with no real loss. But it is there. It is what it is. It's up to you to decide if it's too much or not. You know, for me, it was a bit too much. As far as the characters and the plot of this book go, like what I started with is pretty much as much of the plot as I can safely talk about without going into real spoilers. The characters are almost the same. Like it's very difficult to talk about them because of just the strange and the unusual stories that they go through over the course of this book. Like we do meet there are quite a few recurring characters. There are some new ones, and they all have some very interesting twists on them, to put it lightly. The thing is, like, talking about them is almost enough to skew your perception of them, which is a weird thing to say, but it is what it is. Like some cool things are revealed. Setting aside the characters, some cool things are also revealed about this world. Like we finally get an understanding of how much of a secondary world the Cities of the West is through one of those same character stories that I talked about, which is why I don't really want. I'm trying to avoid getting into specifics about them. What I will say about the characterization is that it is handled very similar to the first book, where we almost experience these characters at a distance for the most part, with one notable exception, who I suspect will just be my favorite character of this entire trilogy. But I have one more book to read to decide that for sure. So there's that, and once again, like that meta aspect to the writing that I mentioned that Alex Pheby did with the magic, it is very much present even with the characters, and the way he decides to portray certain things. As to the overarching story, like, it moves apace. What else can I say about it? It's similar, like one of the best like comparisons I could think to make of is the way that, like in Inferno, Dante's descent into hell, the way that it works. Like it follows a logic, but it's a path that's very much paved with like just this phantasmagoric imagery as he descends low into the depths, and that's kind of what reading this book felt like. There's a clear sequence of events that form the plot from start to end, but the weirdness and everything that just wraps around the couches and gives context to these events and these characters and their interactions and the stories that they go through, like that's the real story here. Not so much the sequence of events that these people play out in. Like it's just a weird journey between these 2 points is the best way I can put it. I think what I'm basically trying to say in a nutshell is that maybe Mordew is a bit more readable, a bit more friendly to like dumber readers like me, as compared to a book like this, which yeah, it will push you. It will push your limits. Or I don't know. Maybe if you read smarter stuff than I do, maybe you'll deal with it much better than I do. But for me, like. It felt like an ultimately very rewarding experience to make it to the end of this book, and just to simmer and stew on all the things about it that Alex Pheby had me just kind of scratching my head over. In many ways, like it's a very oddball sequel is what I'm trying to say, and one that does some very fascinating things, to put it mildly. Yeah, that's kind of really all I have to say about this book. Like, given what we saw at the end of it, like I'm very excited to see what direction he goes with Water Black, and yeah, let's see how things go with that book. That's kind of all I have to say about this book. If you've made it this far into the video, if you've read this, feel free to drop a comment. Let's chat about it. And yeah, thank you for watching. I guess I'll see you next time.